Hello, welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight, only on GB News. Now, normally we do the papers in the 10 o'clock hour, they all drop and we get stuck into them and debate the stories. But a front page has just dropped from the Mail on Sunday. I think we have a picture of it. And it involves Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative Party, and GB News. So I've only just cast my eyes on this. Let me read you what I can see so far from the front page. It says, Kemi Badenoch's unprecedented feud with Nigel Farage escalated last night over claims she urged the head of a television station to cut the airtime given to the Reform UK leader. The Tory leader is said to have accused GB News of giving too much of a platform to her critics and raised the spectre of regulatory action. The revelation comes amid the row over Mr Farage's claim that his party has more members than the Tories, which Mrs Badenoch has branded fake. Sources told the Mail on Sunday that the broadcaster's chief executive was called into Westminster before Christmas for a chat with Mrs Badenoch, but during the meeting she made it clear GB News should not be, quote, a haven for my critics. Nigel, of course, has a show on GB News during the weekday. So, yeah, there we go. This is extraordinary to me, panel. If we go back to what happened on Boxing Day with Kemi's tweet, she fired off the tweet. As far as we know now, the tweet was inaccurate until she says otherwise. She said nothing about that. She's posted a few things on Twitter since then about completely different things. In fact, one tweet, ironically, was about honesty and trust in politics, which, is laughable, bearing in mind what happened on Boxing Day. And she's not mentioned it at all. So now we see on the Mail on Sunday, she's putting pressure on GB News or threatening regulatory action to get Nigel Farage off air and saying that this channel shouldn't be a haven for her critics. But Linda, surely this channel should be a haven for everybody's critics and everybody's praise. This is what we do here.
When you're in a hole, stop digging.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not understand why she's done this. Does she not have comms experts to speak to in the party? Because she just needs to pull back right now, and she's doing the exact opposite of what I would advise, and many people would advise her to do.
But don't we say this every week about some politician? Every week we sit here and go, what are they doing?
It's incredible.
Do you know what worries me about this, though? I'm genuinely worried about this, is the way that Labour and the way that the Tories now are sort of saying GB News needs further regulation, it needs...
Yeah.
And the way that they will... The two-party state will velociraptor again in order to sort of close down critics. And like I said, it's a very powerful, the two-party state.
Sorry, Aideen, go on.
I think she's obviously been on the wine. This is the vibe she's giving. It's that in-between time between Christmas and New Year's. It feels like, I thought she was originally the new Margaret Thatcher, but now she's acting like the new Donald Trump. She's a bit out of control. And of course, if she wants GB News to be more inclusive, she should come on GB News. Isn't that the solution? Well,
yeah, of course. Let me just clarify first. I don't think this meeting in Westminster the other week with our chief executive was to do, of course, with this Boxing Day row, because it didn't happen beforehand. No. I think generally Kemi's concerns are that maybe Nigel has too much of a platform. I guess she's concerned that his profile is raising, Reform is doing too well. But look, the invitation has extended since Boxing Day to Kemi and anybody from the Tory shadow cabinet, any ministers, any Tory MPs. We have invited them on to talk about this row, particularly with Reform. This is what I told Richard Tice, or said during my chat with Richard Tice, the deputy leader, last night. Oh, we don't have it. Let me know when we get it. Anyway, it was an invitation. It was a public invitation to Kemi to come on the show. Anyone's show. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Nigel. It doesn't have to be anyone else. But just come on the channel and give your side of things. If not Kemi, a shadow cabinet minister, anybody, a Tory MP. It was silence yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah. You see, this doesn't look good. This foot stamping doesn't look good. What you have to do in a situation like this is raise your game. You have to be clear about what you are going to achieve and how you are going to achieve it. And that is what she hasn't been doing. There is a vacuum there over this.
There's a problem as well with, again, I say all the time, there's a problem with this intake of politicians over the last perhaps 10 years that have decided almost to boycott various media outlets. Remember when the Conservative government wouldn't go on the BBC and the Today programme in the morning for years and years. And, you know, and what they're doing is retreating. They're saying, you know what, I don't have to worry about the public. I don't have to worry about, you know, making my argument. You know, I'll be in my team with my people. And I think that's problematic and dangerous for democracy, actually.
OK.
I'm being a bit extreme with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a very good point. I mean, I can't understand how politicians can say, not just from the Conservatives, not just Kemi Badenoch, even Labour types and whoever else, can say, you're a mouthpiece for so-and-so and so-and-so, and yet they won't want to come on the show, or anyone's show, have an honest and open debate, because that's what this channel is about. It's about all sides of the debate. We are scrutinised more than any other broadcaster in the UK because so many people want us shut down. We go above and beyond our regulatory commitments and responsibilities to make sure that all sides of the debate appear. This is what I said last night, just for the record. This is my invitation last night to Kemi. For clarity, for viewers at home, I did a show this morning on this channel. We've been inviting Kemi and indeed any other Tory shadow cabinet minister, Tory MP, to come on and talk about this and give their side of the argument. We've emailed CCHQ many times. We've had radio silence. So just for clarity.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you? I think we know what that tells you. They're embarrassed.
Yeah, okay.
They've got nothing to say. They know they're in the wrong.
OK, so Kemi, if you're watching now, I respect you, of course. I respect all politicians. If you're watching, there's still 1 hour and 20 minutes left of the show tonight. Get in touch. Call somebody. If you've got a contact at GB News, call somebody. Let's get you on the show and have a chat tonight. It's only fair you have your say. We'd love to have your say. And if you're concerned that there's too much pro-Nigel or pro-reform in this channel, I don't agree with it, respectfully. But, yeah, the only way to combat that is to come on the show, no?
Absolutely.
Otherwise, she'll have to start her own, I don't know, Telegraph TV with maybe John Major's television programme. I don't know.
Yeah, OK. A statement from GB News said the meeting between the GB News boss and Kemi Badenoch took place in Westminster a few weeks back without any acrimony and was very constructive. We all know the story by now, don't we? Reform say they've overtaken the Tories for paying members, while Kemi Badenoch accused Nigel Farage of rigging the figures for which he wants an apology for. It appears an apology is indeed due after Sky News, The Spectator, The Daily Telegraph and Financial Times all independently verified Reform's data yesterday to suggest Badenoch was indeed wide of the mark with her accusations. And just for the record, I'll say it now, we have repeatedly invited Mrs Badenoch on this channel, any show, any presenter, to give her side of the story, or indeed any shadow cabinet minister or Tory MP. So far, we've been met with stonewall silence, but regardless, this Christmas tale is no longer a row, I think, over membership numbers, which probably actually don't mean all that much anyway. It's much deeper than that. What's going on here is the need for proper political opposition to Labour, while, in my opinion, they run riots with their crippling socialist agenda. Even today, it was revealed Keir Starmer has embarrassingly ordered regulators such as Ofgem and Ofwat to cough up their own ideas for reform that could boost economic growth. Quite frankly, the government doesn't know what it's doing, and I'll touch more on that at 10 o'clock, which is why the country needs serious operators leading the fights from the opposition benches. Kemi's apparently rash tweet about Reform's membership numbers is the latest gaffe from a woman who prides herself on thinking deeply and not making mistakes. Even before she was elected by members to lead the Conservative Party, she was forced to put out the flames of her own fire after calling maternity pay excessive. She later claimed her remarks had been misrepresented. Then she embarrassingly tried to take Keir Starmer to task at PMQs a few weeks ago over, wait for it, immigration.
So let's talk about immigration. He has relaunched yet again. Many new targets, 6 milestones, 5 missions. But why was cutting immigration not a priority?
Speaker, I'm glad she now wants to talk about immigration. Last week she said she didn't, and for good reason. Because the previous government presided over record high levels of immigration. The figures just a few weeks ago, nearly 1 million on net migration. That is unprecedented. A one-nation experiment in open borders under the last government. And she was the champion. She stood up and praised the then Tory Home Secretary for listening to her on removing caps on migration visas. So she was applauding it. Now she's furious about what she was campaigning for. We will drive it down. We will drive down lawful migration. We'll drive down illegal migration.
And now, until she proves otherwise, it appears she's been made to look rather silly with her Boxing Day tirade against Reform and Nigel Farage. As I said, this is from a woman who said this just a few months ago.
I know how certain things might sound if they're not said properly.
Yes.
So I never have gaffes or, apologising for something that I said, oh, that's not what I meant. I never have to clarify because I think very carefully about what I say, make sure that we don't sound shrill, that we don't sound like the bad guy.
Kemi's also taken flak for a lack of direction and ideas on policy. What does the Conservative Party, in her image, stand for? How does she plan to topple Keir Starmer and get the country back on the path to sanity? I don't know, and nobody else does either. She defended that position to the BBC this week, insisting, I do the thinking, and what people are going to get with the new leadership under me is thoughtful conservatism, not knee-jerk analysis. Well, with respect to Kemi, it appears she has, on a few occasions now, engaged her mouth first and brain later. But let's get the thoughts of my panel tonight. Comedian Aideen McQueen, academic and political commentator Lisa McKenzie, and the communications advisor Linda Doobody. Good evening to you all. Welcome along.
Good evening.
And,
Hi.
Merry Christmas. Is it still okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take that.
I would say ladies first, but I'm out. Linda, should we start with you? You're a comms specialist, a comms advisor. What's going on with Kemi?
Well, I was here 2 nights ago, and what I said at the time was I think she shouldn't have intervened at that point. A, that was bad timing, and B, she did not underpin her comments with evidence. Those are 2 critical mistakes early in the day, and she made both errors really clearly. And I think there would have been no Telegraph page 1 lead had she just stayed out of
and
the debate.
BBC. The BBC.
Yep, there we are.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. So I think that she needs to... I don't think she's going to apologise. I don't think that's in her nature. I think she's, as we know, very hard-nosed. I mean, I think often she is a very good debater. She's an Olympic-level debater on occasion, but she's now making very serious unforced errors, and that is a problem for her. So she needs to pause, and maybe she needs to do some of that thinking that she alleges she does do.
There's always a tweet, isn't there? Always an image or a video.
Always.
There's always a receipt for someone to go back to.
Always. It's sort of times like this. Well, actually, it's been a long time like this. It's good to be an anarchist because, you can sort of laugh at all of them now, and I am doing lots of laughing at Keir Starmer. I'm sat there with the popcorn, watching them make a mess. I think, as Linda says, it is a comms error. Yeah, that's what's happened. It's a comms error. I don't think she's a terrible politician. Actually, I think that she's got an idea, perhaps, what she wants conservatism to look like under her. She's conceptual. Yeah. But what she's done is she's gone for Nigel Farage, who is a comms genius, really. Yeah. And so, that she's just picked the wrong target. She should have gone for Starmer.
So what should she do next? Why? I mean, Linda, you said that she shouldn't apologise.
No. I said she won't apologise.
So how does Aideen? How does that look to the electorate? As far as we know, as I said, we've invited Kemi and any other Tories on the channel to prove otherwise. As far as we know now, Kemi has made a mistake with that tweet. Why wouldn't she apologise and just put a line under it?
Well, she's caught because if she does apologise, she's making it run further, and it's great publicity for Reform. I hadn't a clue about their membership implement. It's fantastic for them. Yeah. And she really shouldn't have said it. It was an error. It was cockiness on her part. And the fact that she said she never makes mistakes is the biggest mistake you can make. Yeah. That's making me feel like if I was going out with her, I would leave her. That's why I left my ex.
Is anyone really watching though now? This is what I suppose. This is what I'm asking. So
watching Kemi,
or watching any of their sort of party political games, because I've got a feeling that people are watching public services, worried about bus fares going up, worried about their everyday living, and I think this sort of level of Twitter political.
But Lisa, that's kind of my point. We need a decent opposition in this country.
Yes, exactly.
To hold the government to account. We saw what happened during COVID when you don't have a decent opposition. Yep. We need somebody on that opposition bench who's got integrity, charisma, will hold Sir Keir Starmer's feet to the fire. Yep. And at the moment, all Kemi seems to be doing, with respect to her, is putting out her own fires. Yep.
Do you know anybody who could fit that role?
Yeah, I was wondering.
In the Conservative Party?
Yeah, well... I mean, really on any... I mean, I think that's the point. I think that's the point you were making. But it's also a wider point about our politicians that we've got today.
Yeah, it's that people disengage from politicians now. Because they don't trust them, they just disengage. And it is a very big issue.
Yeah, indeed.
I do think she's a good speaker. I think she has sincere values.
You think she is a good speaker?
Yeah, in general. She is. She's clear. She's a good communicator.
But the issue is, I don't know what she stands for. I don't know what her vision is for the Conservative Party. I don't actually think she's that good a speaker.
Does she need one? Does she need one yet? Because Starmer, let's remember what Starmer did. Starmer sat back for 5 years and never said anything, and actually is probably still not saying much, and just won by default.
Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier, that she should really stand back for 4 years, just like Muhammad Ali.
Exactly.
Just rope-a-dope, and then at the end, boom, 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 give pensioners a bit of money and then make everyone happy, get elected. If I was her, that's what I would do.
Linda, do you reckon she's rattled by reform?
Yes, absolutely. If you weren't rattled by reform, you'd have to be totally mad.
Starmer is rattled by reform as well, actually.
Well, breaking news tonight in the last hour or so, a massive poll published by the Sunday Times tomorrow, 11,000 people quizzed. If there was a general election tonight, Labour would lose 200 seats, Reform would finish on 72 seats, and the Tories would gain, I think, 100 seats. They'd be left with about 178. So that's breaking tonight. They're calling it a mega poll. I know it's too early. They've still got 4 years to go. We're not going to have an election now, but that kind of shows you the public feeling.
Yeah, it does show you as well that our electoral system is not really representative of what people are thinking.
No, that's true.
Because the way that we've got the two-party system, the third party is never going to win.
I think the key now is that reform has to underpin itself with some really good structure. You know, it has to really outline its purpose, its broader purpose, really strongly, then its vision, then its focus, then its strategy. And from amongst this membership, it needs to, Nigel Farage knows this, you have to recruit serious people who are prepared to knuckle down.
Well, I guess they would say they have started recruiting serious people. They've got Zia Youssef, who's the Reform chairman now.
Yeah.
He made a lot of money in tech and sold his business. He's now organising things. Can I ask you, though, Linda, do you think membership numbers matter?
They do matter. They're not critical because the Tory membership has been going down for years and years and years. It's probably cut by 2/3 now, right at this point. Yeah. And membership doesn't mean to say, just because you've got high membership, doesn't mean to say you're going to win, and if you've got low membership, you're going to lose. But what it does indicate for Nigel Farage is that there's momentum. That's what it indicates.
Yeah. I actually went to the Reform conference, believe it or not.
Did you?
Believe it or not.
Did you wear that top? That's Reform colours.
But I was at the Reform conference, believe it or not. The anarchist I was invited, and I did sort of a little panel conversation there, and I've got to say there was a lot. It was a very happy mood.
As an anarchist, Lisa, is Reform the closest we have to anarchy in this country? They're saying they're not the Uni Party, they're not the Tories, they're not Labour, they're going to do things differently. Are they the closest we've got to anarchy?
Not really.
No?
No, I mean...
What's your vision of anarchy? What does it look like?
People think anarchism is about chaos. It's actually not. It's about order. What do I think?
I'm not even sure you're an anarchist, Lisa.
I am an anarchist. I am an anarchist.
Do you still believe in government?
No, I don't believe in centralised government. It's decentralising power. That's what it's about. I'm not sure Nigel Farage perhaps believes that, but it's about sort of accepting that power corrupts. Right. And therefore a place like Westminster is full of corruption. Yeah. And as I always say, Westminster... You won't change Westminster. Westminster will change you.
Yeah, that's so true. I think people don't... politicians are basically attention seekers. They put themselves out on X Factor for people who have done PPE. Yeah. So they're totally influenced by stuff. They're going to have affairs. They're going to take bribes. They're going to go on these mad junkets. I know I do it. I'm not even a politician.
Feel your boots. Feel your boots.
Yeah.
OK, we're just about to move on, but one word answer. Is Kemi Badenoch going to be the Tory leader at the next election, yes or no?
No.
Adine?
I think so. Am I just wrong? I really like her.
Yes or no?
It's not whether you like her or not.
Yes, that's true. I think she will. If she cools her boots, sits back for a while, she has a good chance.
No. The Tories are ruthless.
Yeah. OK, well, let us know what you think at home. gbnews.com/your say.